This is your before and after story. Prepare for an incredible career in nursing. At Southeastern College, experience expert hands-on training. Learn real-world skills in our professional lab and simulated settings. And train for opportunities as a practical nurse, registered nurse, or career advancement with our RN to BSN program. At Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sac.edu to get started.
Wednesday morning, just after the 10 a.m. news, it must be time to mind Ottawa's business with our friends at the Blacklock's Reporter. It is the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. You can get a subscription for yourself, something I highly recommend. I mean, the reading might chafe your chaps a wee bit, but it is well worth the investment at blacklocks.ca. That's where you can get your subscription. Tom Korski is the managing editor of the Blacklock's Reporter, joins us for this weekly chat. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
We like to talk about, or we use the phrase often, the inmates are running the asylum. But in this particular case, I'm trying to figure out who's managing the inmates within Canada's federal prison system, or how many people, perhaps, is the more appropriate question.
This is interesting. People have a general impression, I don't know, maybe from the movies, that the prisons are overcrowded and there is a shortage of staff. Not in Canada. In fact, by the Correctional Services estimates, we have almost 2,000 empty prison cells. These are in federal prisons, penitentiaries. And the Correctional Service estimates they now have more than 20,000 employees, but there's fewer than 15,000 inmates in custody. There are more employees than inmates. And the correctional investigator, who is, this is not a taxpayer's ombudsman, the correctional investigator has said there are some institutions in this country where the guards literally outnumber the people they are watching. We have one of the most, says the investigator, one of the most expensive prison systems on planet Earth. It's very costly. Almost $4 billion a year, Mike.
$4 billion a year to pay people to mind 2,000 empty cells is really what it boils down to.
And it's funny, when they tried to economize, God bless their hearts. And they said, we have a problem, for instance, with illegal immigrants who are under deportation orders. Maybe we could put some of them in these empty cells. And what it wound up costing was more. It didn't lower the cost. It cost more, $16 million a year, according to the Canada Border Services Agency, because they had to pay for what they called, I quote them accurately, compassionate detention conditions, like daily access to doctors, nurses, and psychologists. So you have a very expensive prison system that, I guess it's a rhetorical question. Why wouldn't they trim the staff if the prison population is going down? It's a riddle wrapped in an enigma. No one knows.
It's an excellent question, though, Tom. It's an excellent question. Okay, so the Treasury Board is serious, and it means it, because if you work for the Federal Civil Service, you best watch what you post on social media.
Anyone in private sector would say this is not a high bar. But apparently, it is a sort of a mission and a wonderful challenge, in particular for federal managers. What did the Treasury Board say? It's a brand new policy, the toughest worded policy yet on social media use. And they have told especially managers, get off Twitter if you are using profane, vulgar, or partisan remarks. You work for all the people all the time. And indeed, we see, for the first time, a federal manager who got busted, and he had to revoke his tweets. He's a lawyer in the Department of Finance right here in Ottawa. His name is Timothy Heyer, and he is a real character, Mike. He was tweeting 9 to 10 times a day in the workday. Why don't I read some of Mr. Heyer's? Now, I'm going to edit this for reasons that will be obvious. What did Mr. Heyer say? Here's one. The nice thing about being in government is being able to introduce laws that allow you to F up without people being able to sue you for it. What else did Mr. Heyer have to say? He said, I would clearly not last as a reporter. Most likely I would be fired immediately after yelling out, what the F you just say, in the middle of the press conference. You're getting the gist, and you saying, wait a minute, is this an angry 14-year-old over at the high school? No. This is legal counsel in the Department of Finance of a G7 country. Mike, they had to send out a memo to say stop it. It's unbelievable.
I'm just trying to think, Tom, if I even dropped one F-bomb in a social media post, what my parent company would have to say about me.
You know, what's interesting is that's exactly right. Find an XYZ trucking company, let alone a major corporation, let alone the smallest of small business, that has to go in and tell the guys on the shop floor, now, Tim, don't you be tweeting any F-bombs today about... When has that ever happened in the world? Exactly.
Okay, let's talk Canada Post, Tom, because, because we must. 18 months, the latest offer rejected. Are we going to find a settlement here with Canada Post employees?
Well, the Labour Minister has said that she's counting on them, but this is the same Labour Minister who has in the past, and the Canadian Union of Postal Workers remembers this, has ordered the union back to work through legislation under threat of $100,000 a day fines. Terrible business labor relations at the post office. It has been that way for generations. Everyone knows it. Everyone remembers when a former CUPW president was jailed for criminal contempt. It's one of the worst labor management relations of any Crown corporation I know. And Cabinet, Mike, has done nothing. They have known the financial problems at Canada Post for years, and they have taken no steps to try to mitigate those losses for taxpayers or tell the two sides, look, we got to get together. Who has some nice ideas? This is a story of failure. It
most certainly is. And before I let you go, I wanted to ask about those Chinese-made ships that the British Columbia Ferry Service is buying. It's more than $1 billion in federal funds here, Tom. What is happening out in British Columbia?
This is interesting. Yeah. This is really interesting. The Cabinet does not have a majority in Parliament, which means that they are in trouble in committees. This is not inside baseball. This is where the flaming arrows comes from. And here we see in Commons Transport Committee, Conservative and Bloc members got together. They passed a motion to compel disclosure of every confidential document involving the contracting of that shipyard deal with taxpayer financing to a state-run shipyard in China. They want to see the emails. They want to see the memos. They want this by September 16th. They mean business. The MP who sponsored that motion, Dan Albus, he's from Okanagan Lake in BC, said we can stop this loan. They are deadly serious.
Tom, as always, appreciate the work that you do. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you, Mike.
Tom Korski is the managing editor of the Blacklock's Reporter. Check it out for yourself. Subscription-based and well worth it at blacklocks.ca, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. Tom joins us every Wednesday morning at this time on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.